Today we're going to cover creating and using matrix items on a NitroCell web store. In this session, we'll see how to create a matrix within RMS, then add existing items to that matrix. To begin, in this screenshot, we'll see a group of like items that are not associated with the matrix. Notice how each item is listed individually. This is an issue because customers can be impatient and won't bother looking to the bottom of this page, let alone 10 or 20 pages while shopping. In this screenshot, we'll see items that are associated with the matrix items. Notice once we click into an item, we have drop-downs that will take us to each individual item rather than seeing all like items within a single listing. To create the matrix item, we'll first need to open RMS's Store Operations Manager. We'll left-click on Database, Items, left-click on New Items, choose Matrix Item, then click OK. This is the Item Matrix Properties interface. We're going to stay here for a second. And since we aren't using the Matrix Item feature to create items, we don't really need to add the department, category, price, or any other information the individual items already have included in them. We need to add a matrix lookup code, but we only need to add an entry that will be meaningful to ourselves. The matrix lookup code isn't really going to be used except to search for the item within RMS. The description, however, is important since it will appear on the product listing page on your web store. We need to add a description that will encourage the customer to click into the matrix item. It also needs to be SEO friendly, and you need to keep the description within the 30-character limit. We can override that character limit, but that's another tutorial. So we'll go ahead and add our lookup code. Once again, we don't need to add a department, we don't need to add a category, we don't need to add a price. All of these entries are already included in the items that are within RMS. We're only creating the matrix item so that we can have a feature that will group the items so that they can display within one listing rather than have them all list on one single page. And once again, the description needs to be SEO friendly and it has to be something meaningful to the customer. Keep in mind, there is a 30-character limit in this field. We can override that limit, but once again, that's a different tutorial. Next, we'll need to click on the Component Items tab. And we'll stay here for a second. The dimensions you see up there at the top make up the drop-downs we see on the product pages on your web store. The dimension name is basically the name of the drop-down. Once you add the dimension name, you can use the arrow keys on your keyboard to navigate through the attributes you create. Our first dimension will be size. We just click into it and type size. We can hit tab and it takes us to the first attribute. Here we'll enter our first attribute. Our first one is going to be size 8. The attributes will display on your product page, so those you need to be sure that there's something that's going to be meaningful to the customer. Just know that it is going to appear on your product page. The code can be whatever you want. I'm just going to add A8, and then once again, you can use the arrow keys on your keyboard. Down arrow, left, enter 9, right key, A9, A9, down arrow, left, 10, right, A10. And if you have more attributes and codes, you can just continue on adding them if you'd like. If we were creating new items, these codes would make up the lookup code for the new items that we are creating, but we're not using that. All we're doing is creating a matrix item that we're going to use on the web store so that we can group these items and make it easier for your customers to browse your web store. Our next dimension is going to be color. Pretty much the same thing. We only have two color combinations. We have white, black, and then we also have white, green. We hit tab, we get into the attribute. Using the arrow keys, I'm going to use the right arrow key. WBLK for white, black. Again, it could be whatever you want. It doesn't really matter. We're not creating items. If we were, these codes would be part of the eventual lookup code, but we're not using those, so we can enter whatever we want. The attributes, however, those are important because those will appear on your product page. I'm going to hit the down arrow and then left. Our next color combination is going to be white, green. The code is whatever you want. Okay, so we have our two dimensions, and the dimension names, those are going to be the names of the drop downs, and once again the attributes will appear. That's what the customer is going to use so that they can choose the different items. So our two attributes are, or dimensions, are size and color, and then we have the different sizes here. We do have a KB article that shows how you can be sure that these attributes are ordered in the same way that you have them listed here within RMS. That, once again, that's in a different tutorial. Next thing we need to do is click Create Components. And we see we have a little blurb here that says, are you ready to continue with creating the new component items? At this point, we need to be sure that we choose no. If we choose yes, we'll see that we'll have to, RMS will create new items for us. We don't want that. We already have the items. All we need to do, once again, is create the matrix item so that we have a way to group the items that we already have within RMS. So we'll click no. Nothing really happens. The next thing we need to do is add the items into the matrix item. To do that, all we have to do is click Add Items. Choose Select an existing item to add. Click OK. We're going to browse for our item. The first one we're going to add is this is the Adidas white black men's size 8. So we choose the item, click OK. And notice we have the item here within the component items section. Notice we also don't have the dimensions assigned to them. At this point, what we're going to do is assign the dimensions to this item. This is white black size 8, so our first dimension is size. We're going to choose size 8, and this is white black. And we just keep on going. Add our next item, select an existing item to add, click OK. Our next size is going to be 9, and it is white black, so we just go 9, white black, add items, select an existing item to add, 10, OK, size 10, white black. We're also going to get the white-green items in here. So select an existing item to add. We're going to skip 7 because we didn't create that. And notice we're changing this to white-green. And for our last item, we just add an item. So notice we have white black size 8, white black size 9, white black size 10, white green 8, 9, and 10. We have our item lookup codes. These are already these items are already created. If we had used this matrix item feature to create items, the item lookup code would have been something like Adidas, whatever it was, and the other tab A8 WBLK. But now that we have the items within the matrix, what we do is we click OK. We're going to choose yes. And now we're going to look at the matrix item that we just created. We're going to click on the item type header so that we can sort. Here's our matrix item. We go to properties. And here's our description. Once again, we didn't need the department, the category, price, or any of this other information. We do need the description, and we do need to be sure that it's something meaningful to the customers. We have to keep it within the 30-character limit, and we also have to be sure that it's something that's SEO friendly. We have a brand name here. We have what they are, walking shoes. If you can be more creative than that, then feel free, but we also have a way where we can override that so that you can add more characters and add that description within the notes field. If we click on component items, we see here are all the items that we added. If we just click one of these items, we go to the individual item, and we see that this item is now a member of the matrix, Adidas walking. Now, RMS still treats these items as individual items, as does the product attribute manager. So you can still go into the product attribute manager and each of these items and assign images to them individually. I'm going to click cancel out of here. Cancel out of here. Since we've created our matrix item, we've added our items, we're going to close out of this. And now what we need to do is synchronize those changes up to the web store. Open up NSC Sync, left click on Synchronize. And notice we have 6 items that were updated, 1 item type that was added, and item type details we have 6 added. So we're going to close out of this, refresh our browser. This is the item that was not included. These here, on the other hand, are the items that we did put within the matrix. And notice, as I mentioned, the Adidas walking shoes that's the name that appears right here, Adidas walking shoes. So once again, we have to be sure that we stop and take a moment to think about the description that we're going to give to the matrix item itself. We click on Adidas walking shoes, and we see the different drop downs here. And there you have it. What we did was we saw a group of items, like items that weren't grouped together. We created a matrix item within RMS, and we added those items that were already created within RMS to that matrix item, synchronized, and got them up to the web store. And now your customers will not have to browse through 50 different items just to look at one individual item. They only need to click on the one and see their different options